Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here for Learn to Draw and Paint Hummingbirds with John Muir Laws. My name is Beth Kelly Galogly and I am the founding director of the Wild Wonder Foundation, which is hosting this class today. The Wild Wonder Foundation is dedicated to encouraging nature connection and conservation through attention, curiosity, art, science, and community. That's where you come in. You can learn more about our work at wildwonder.org. Thanks for acting out all my speech here, Jack.
It'll be interpretive dance now.
That's right, interpretive dance. We are super grateful to today's teacher, who is this way on my screen, John Muir Laws, who is an award-winning author, writer, illustrator, educator, and all-around great guy, who has 4 decades of teaching experience, and he is the co-founder and president of the Wild Wonder Foundation, and he is donating his time today to teach this class. All funds raised today and afterwards will support the Wild Wonder Microgrant Program, which is a wonderful program where we give small grants up to $1,000 to folks who are helping to share the joy of nature journaling with others through classes, workshops, and other outreach all around the world. So if you go to our website and click on the grants button, you can see who has received grants in the past and what they're doing with that. It's really, really inspiring and amazing. And you can also apply for a grant. There's information there on our next cycle, which I believe is in September, but don't quote me on that. You can double check on our website at wildwonder.org/grants, or you can just click the grants button at the top of the screen. A few notes before we begin. I want to give a special shout out and thank you to Avea and Rebecca, who are backstage helping today run the class. Thank you so much. Because this is a webinar, your camera and mic are disabled. This is a 2-hour class and we'll take a quick stretch break, maybe do some hummingbird wing action. Anyway, we'll see what Jack wants to do. Take a quick stretch break. Nice. After the first hour, and please use the Q&A feature to ask questions during the presentation, and we will get to as many of those as we can. We encourage you to share your class notes and drawings, and if Jack has any homework he might want to assign you, I know everyone loves homework, you can use the hashtag Wild Wonder Foundation and tag us at Wild Wonder Foundation. I will now hand it over to you, Jack. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you so much, Beth. I really appreciate the help that you and Rebecca and Vea. There's a whole community of people that kind of work together to make a class like this happen. And I'm really grateful to all of you for helping us share all of these resources. Also, I want to thank the large community of supporters who have kind of got the back of the Wild Wonder Foundation. People have been really generous, and so we're able to give stuff away. So what this class is kind of a part of that same idea. We're collecting money here for the micro grant program. So what we're going to be doing is taking funds raised in this and using those to seed people who are real innovators and making it happen people. That is going to help spread nature journaling all around the planet right now. I think that this is a really, really good time for people to be going into nature, building community, and finding sort of calm and peace in the world around us. And I think that the sort of insight, kind of meta reflection that we can do in our journals, this is a healthy thing, and I think we need more of that. So let's help each other do that. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited about sharing some stuff about drawing hummingbirds. Now, if you are not in North and South America, you'd be going, or maybe you're living on Antarctica, and you're thinking about, well, but this doesn't help me because we don't have hummingbirds here. So hummingbirds are only in North, Central, and South America, and most of them, the crazy diversity of hummingbirds is in Central and South America. So this class is a celebration of that biodiversity. But if you live on another continent and you're having a sense of ennui right now because of the lack of hummingbirds in your environment, I've got one word for you: sunbirds. Oh yeah. Sunbirds. You got sunbirds. So what's not to like about that? So at the end of this class, we're going to spend a little bit of quality time looking at sunbirds, because sunbirds occupy the same ecological niche as hummingbirds. They don't hover, But they're these tiny little things with long beaks. They're doing all this sort of flower pollinating, and they're iridescent. So the same iridescent stuff we've got looking at hummingbirds, you're going to find is going to apply to your sunbirds. So don't worry, we got your sunbirds. So um, hummingbirds are crazy, crazy cool. They can do things that the rest of the birds can't. This whole hovering thing is amazing. Actually, let's kind of shake it out right now. What you're going to do if you want to hover is you've got your wing over here and your wing over here. Now, if you have long wings like an albatross, you can't move them fast. So all the bones are really, really short. The flight feathers are long, but the bones are short. And what you're going to do is everybody kind of go like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your hands and you're going to bring them down and forward. So you're going to turn them down and forward. Now turn them up and back. Now we're going to make a figure 8. So down and forward, up and back. And this motion allows them to hover.
So groovy.
So groovy. Is everybody
So
doing?
groovy.
I'm thinking of people all over the world right now hovering. Actually, whoa, like if you do it right, your feet are, look at that, my feet are leaving the floor. It's working. It's working. So, I mean, they're just so cool. We're going to look at drawing hummingbirds in all of their glorious iridescence and their crazy proportions. We are going to draw them in flight. Yes. And you're like, how can you draw that? We will. Um, and but before we do, I just want to say one other thing about hummingbirds. It just makes me really happy. So I just got to share this. So let's go over to the document camera. Oh, you're not going to do that to me. Let's go over to the oh, rascal. All right, let's go to this big screen. And I'm going to go to the hummingbird section of this book, Birds of Ecuador. And, we've got a few hummingbirds in the United States, and they're lovely. But if you go to Central and South America, you've got this incredible radiation of hummingbirds. The hummingbird idea just took off. But something that's really fun, there's this crazy biodiversity, and kind of, people got really creative with the names. And this is the place where I just love the names of hummingbirds. So I'm going to just, as sort of a beat poem here, we're going to do, let's see, how are we going to start? We have the buff-tailed sicklebill and the fiery topaz, not to be confused with the crimson topaz, the striped-throated hermit, the let's see, there's a lot of hermits. The green violet ear, the sparkling violet ear, the black-eared fairy, the green-tailed golden throat, the black-throated mango. Ooh, 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 ooh. The gorgeted sun angel, the the fested coquette. Um, the black-tailed train bearer, the violet-tailed sylph. It goes on and on. The mountain velvet breast with the greenish puff leg. How fun is that? So just anytime you are feeling down, should you feel down, go get yourself a field guide of South American and Central American hummingbirds and just spend some time looking at the names of the shining sunbeam. Right? The hill star. Oh, I just love this. So the rainbow star frontlet. Maybe we should just end on that. I mean, life is better with creatively named hummingbird names. So um, let's spend some time with those. A great way to get close looks at hummingbirds is to set up a hummingbird feeder close to a window where you can see it. You want to make sure that this isn't a place that you're going to get window strikes. But you can then, like, I can look out the window here and the little hummingbirds come to me, and it's really, really, really fun. So have a little pad of paper by your desk, and when the hummingbirds come in, bloop, you can get out there and you can get out your sketchbook and be able to draw them. But you may be asking, how indeed do we draw them? So let's go there now. And I was told that some of my slides with text on them are coming out fuzzy. If you're seeing this text fuzzy, I'm so sorry. In all of my prep, these look crisp to me, but the but when we get on to the drawing demos, I'm told that the resolution is a little bit better. But if you've got fuzzy text, it says, let's draw hummingbirds, because that's what we're about to do. This slide also sends a special shout out and thanks to Vivek Kanzode, the photographer and worker behind birdpixel.com. All of these photographs that you're going to see here come from BirdPixel, and Vivek has invited all of this community to use this resource to help you draw hummingbirds. And so that's really, really generous and fun. So we're going to start with the anatomy of the hummingbird and kind of understanding the feathers. So here is a beautiful, it's either a long-tailed sylph or a violet-tailed one, and I'm not a good enough birder to tell the difference, but that's just lovely. But we're going to use this little buddy here to help us think about the anatomy of the hummingbird. So, our, um, if you have a worksheet of birds, something that you printed out, that is great. We just put up an updated version that has this little bird in it. If you don't have the new version, so the new version, you can tell the new version because it's got the title over here rather than in this spot here. We'll put the link to the new one in the chat. And so you can either print that out or you can just print out 2 copies of this one because I realized that there's something else I wanted to do with one of these drawings. So I put in a new bird so that we can use it to help us kind of learn a little bit of the anatomy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color in this little line drawing here. And as I do, we're going to be naming the parts of the bird. So understanding what these little parts are, how they fit together, is going to help us so that when we say gorget, we all know what we're talking about. So and you can, if you want to, if you've printed out 2 of these, you might use this little one down here if you don't have this new one yet. But that will, either way, it's good. So I'm going to start with everybody's favorite part of the hummingbird here. And that's this gorgeous little iridescent patch underneath the throat. So this is different sizes, different colors, different shapes in different species. And as we're going to be seeing, depending on the light direction, it is going to dramatically change its color. And this is called a gorget. Gorget. I looked up the spelling for all of you. And that is next to the next little piece is a part of the kind of the hummingbird anatomy that I haven't paid that much attention to historically, but now I'm realizing that this is actually a really, really big deal in making your hummingbird look like a hummingbird. And what it is this little zone in front of its eye. I'm going to put in a little triangle here. And this little zone is called the lores. That's Lores. And very often it's going to be dark in hummingbirds. And it often has kind of this little swoop to it. So it kind of comes down and up, giving the bird a little bit of a more serious, angry bird's expression. So if your hummingbirds just looked kind of expressionless, getting a little bit of lures action going on is going to be helpful in your drawing. The next part I'm going to put in orange, but it is often white. All right, I'm going to put a little orange spot behind the eye here. And this is a little field mark that you don't find on all hummingbirds, but you'll find it on many of them. So if your brain is trained to look for them, you will be a happy camper. And this is called the post-ocular spot. So post behind ocular eye, the post-ocular spot. Now let's continue our way kind of bopping around on the bird's head. Actually, I should say this. If you're just coming to this and you didn't print out anything and you're thinking, I wish I had a worksheet to do this on, I'm just going to do a kind of a quick sketch here of how we might block this in. Um, so we'll go over these steps a little bit more in a second. So lightly draw yourself a ball and give it a little beak sticking out. Put that next to a bigger ball. And give it a tiny little booty ball. Back ball here. And that's where our tail is going to be. This is a little hummingbird form. I'm going to put a line drooping down and a little ball at the top of that, and that's going to be the wing. So we're now going to turn this into a hummingbird drawing that you can follow along on. And we're going to go over these steps again, kind of in greater detail. But just if you're thinking like, I need to follow along, I'm going to put a little beak in, thin beak. I'm going to come back from the beak and swoop up to the eye and put an eye in. That gives me that little space for the lures. Let's give our friend a gorget. And now what we're going to do is we're going to give it a patch of feathers above the ear. And this little patch of feathers above the ear, of all crazy things, is called the ear patch. Ear patch. Coming back to here, we're going to put feathers on the top of the head, but we're going to do that first by giving ourselves a little light indication of well, let's give this guy a post-ocular spot there. There we are, little post-ocular spot. A little eyebrow. Now, you're not going to see a little eyebrow element in all hummingbirds, but you will in some of them. And then, so we're going to have this top part broken into two parts, our eyebrow and our crown. I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to make my eyebrow yellow. And some people won't be able to read that, I'm going to write eyebrow orange. And then we've got this whole top of the head business going on. And I'm going to call this kind of up here. That's the crown. There's a few other parts of the the bird that are going to be helpful for you to get. So the head has a bunch of these different little zones.
Quick question before you move on, if that's okay.
Please.
Does the post-ocular patch cover the ear patch, or is it separate? Someone asked.
It's separate. So it's right behind the eye, above the ear patch.
Okay, thank you.
And so the ear patch is kind of going back from the eye, then down along the side of the face. So for the body, I'm going to divide the back of this bird into 3 sections. There is upper back, there is the middle back, and the lower back, or booty boot. All right. So you can call actually, let's make this upper back bigger. So I'm going to make this whole bit here. I'm going to call this my back. And so there's going to be a big back. Birdie got back.
I hear
And
you. I hear you.
yeah. Um, so on this little bird here, I'm going to leave space out here for a wing that we'll kind of get into in a moment. But so most of this is our little birdie back.
Can you slide that over?
Oh, yes, thank you. Sorry about that. Then we're going to have a zone, the area, but as we kind of get into the tail, there's going to be a couple of zones. There's going to be the upper tail, there's going to be the rump and the upper tail coverts. And on a lot of birds, it's hard to sort of tell the difference between these. Sometimes there's a color change in this area, but when you get to what are called the upper tail coverts, which are down in here, they are going to be a few bigger feathers. And this is a place, these will all be little feathers. There's a place down here where you're going to get into these big, more crisp feathers on the hummingbird. And those are the upper tail coverts. So we've got the back, the rump, and the upper tail coverts. So on my little bird here, I'm going to go back to my orange pencil again. And this is going to be my upper tail coverts. I'm going to go up, up tail funk. All right, my upper tail coverts. Oh, sorry, I just did that on the rump. Ah! I got so excited about my uptail funk, I joked that I put that in the wrong place. So the rump, and then the upper tail coverts would be kind of starting down here and kind of hidden behind this wing. So I'm going to circle that and put in there. On birds where we can kind of see this sort of rump area, and this only kind of matters if there's a different color on the rump, but very often we're going to see big feathers appearing down here on the upper tail coverts again. And then you just get into the tail. And let's go for a different color on the tail. We'll go for green again. A lot of North American hummingbirds have these short little tails. And the way that they're set up is there's 6 feathers in the tail. And so in the center, imagine I have a short little tail. You're looking at it from the top. Here's your upper tail coverts here. So you'll have 2 feathers in the middle, one kind of overlapping, and then so on one side here's feather number 1, feather number 2, and feather number 3, and feather number 1, feather number 2, and feather number 3. So they've got these short little tails, and sometimes in North American birds, you'll find feathers at the corners of them will have little white spots. Sometimes there will be kind of other colors in here, so those are fun things to look at. But as you're going to see as we go down to Central and South America, what you can do with a hummingbird tail, it's really fun. But still made out of 6 feathers, even these ridiculously long. What? ridiculously long tails. The tummy of the bird, we're going to break into two sections. This upper triangle here, that's the breast. So on my little bird here, if I kind of give it a little, it's kind of like it's wearing a sweater. There's a fluffy tummy. So there's this, and then there's the sides of the bird. And these can be called the sides. Sometimes people will sort of make a distinction between the uh, the sort of sides and flanks, calling this the sides up here and the flanks down here. That's just too much terms for me. But that's sort of, the side of the bird. But there is kind of another fun zone down here. So I'm going to write side here. But this little bit of floof down here, this is fun. This on some birds, you're going to see, you're going to have color coming down, and then there'll be this white puffy zone. And that's the vent down here. So sometimes you can be, you'll see sort of loose, fluffy feathers down on the bottom of the bird. And if you draw that in on a bird that doesn't have it, it's okay. You're just being inventive.
I'm groaning. I'm groaning.
Yeah, that was rough one even for me. Um, and then we just have one little bit of business left here on our bird body, and these are the undertail coverts. And if we kind of go back to drawing in this tail here, I will put a little short tail on my bird friend here. So there's a poof of feathers. So you've got your upper on the top and your under on the bottom. On the under is under and the upper is upper. So that makes a little wedge here that the tail attaches to. Whoa, stay on the screen, little bird. And this whole business back here, this bit of hummingbird business, this can flip around. So if this hummingbird wants to, it can have its sharpened central. So it can have, say, a little hummingbird body like this, and it can be taking its tail and doink, and stick it out there. So here is, right? It can also take this bit of tail business and it can flip it down this way. And sometimes when they're flying or hovering,
Oh,
you'll
Jack,
see them.
could you please raise up your page a bit?
Oh,
Thank
yes, thank you so much. Sometimes when they're flying, you'll see them going ding, 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 ding. Some species, it turns out, do this more than others. So if you see this little kind of tail switch, so if it's all in one position, you kind of get that position. If it's all in the other position, you get that position. If it's switching back and forth, that ends up being an important thing to look for. It helps us tell these different species apart. Isn't that fun? And then there's a hummingbird wing. If you have studied bird wings before, bless your heart, you've taken one for the team. It is there's a lot going on here, right? And if you're new to this, the whole bird wing is going to start to feel overwhelming. And there's so many feathers in here, it can cause despair. But what we're going to do is we're going to break this down into kind of two ways. One, the sort of basic, simple thing that we've all got to get under our bird belt. And then the second is, if you've got some experience drawing bird wings, here's how to kind of understand at a deeper level. So there's two ways of going into this. And if the first one is kind of where you are right now, if you're new to drawing birds, that's totally okay. So don't worry about having to remember. There's gonna be like every little thing in here gets its own term. But you can simplify a hummingbird wing really, 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 really easily. So the way I simplify a hummingbird wing is what I do is I first draw this front edge of the wing, whoop, and then I put in a little ball for all this business up in here. So a line and a ball.
What's
So
the noise that we have to make while we draw that front edge?
oh, was it a fawhoop?
It was a fawhoop. Okay, just
It
making
was
sure.
a fawhoop, yes. So this is the fawhoop, and then you go tuk 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 tuk. Right. So it's a fawhoop and a tuk 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 tuk. So if you are going for the simple version of the wing, I'm now going to, in the tuk tuk tuk, I'm going to give yourself a little box up here. And in the fawhoop part, this is called, these are the primary feathers that are sticking down. They make this big triangle. And so if you are, like, this ends up being a great way of simplifying the bird wing. And you might be saying to yourself, oh no, you're just saying that because you would draw in all those feathers. Au contraire, my friends. I've got the Ecuador Journal right here, and let's look at how I'm handling some hummingbird wings. All right, look right here. Here is the fawhoop, and here's the right? This one, it's just like a all big kind of unified shape. Sometimes I can't see the details in the wing of a bird. I can't see the details. I don't draw the details. Let's go into some other kind of, there's some other hummers out here. Oh, there's some hummers. I was so excited drawing this day that I put these pages in upside down. So here is, yeah, take a look at this one. So there's a little suggestion of, these are called secondary feathers, and then there's the big long projection of the primaries. And I'm not putting in all the detail, all the stuff that's easy to see on a photograph. Look at this little sketch here. Like, right? So this is a great way of simplifying a little hummingbird wing. And now I have to turn my book upside down again. Let's find some more hummers. All right, yeah. So this way of drawing hummingbird wings, seeing and blocking in those two spaces, let's find some more hummingbirds. Yeah, so I do it too. Right. So now, let's give, oh, you're not over there, you're here. Let's give this big a bird a fawhoop and a tuka. So fawhoop. All right, that is a totally legit hummingbird wing. Now, let's say we want to put in, understand it a little bit more, in a little bit more nuance and detail. Let's start with the fawhoop. There's this big box of feathers all in here. And this is the same parts of the wing that you're going to see on other birds. So they have secondaries, they have secondary coverts, they have primaries, they have primary coverts. If those terms are new to you, don't stress out about this. All right, so check this out. I'm going to give your secondaries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 secondaries. So 1, 2, 3 kind of progressively longer. 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6. Those are the secondaries. And secondary feathers have coverts. There are greater, median, and lesser coverts. I'm going to come in here green. This layer of feathers in here, it's about the same size as these secondaries. Those are my greater coverts on the secondaries. And up above that, I'm going to put some little yellow spot in here. Those are median coverts, and and lesser coverts. So the rest of the coverts. So I'm going to go median and lesser coverts of the secondaries. On the back of this bird, up in here, there it seems to be one on the photograph. There's sort of a green, more fluffy patch in here. Those are called scapular feathers. It's essentially a little pad on the shoulder. And these are worth mentioning because sometimes just putting in a little bit of scapular feathers helps kind of fit the wing into the body.
Hey,
So,
Jack, would you mind moving the page a bit more center, just so that way folks can see all the lovely names you put in? Thank you so much.
so I'm going to put it, that's scap. Let's see if as I kind of look around my my sketchbook here. Yeah, so you can see that this is sort of in the back of my head. So here is the secondaries, here's the primary feathers. And you see how there's this little kind of a suggestion of a little pile of something going on just on top of the wing. Those are scapular feathers, and they just sort of help, instead of that wing coming up and then it somehow just hits the body and stops, I put that little pad of feathers up there and it helps kind of absorb that wing into the body. So on this little one here, here's some scapulars on top of this wing. Anybody else get scapulars? Yeah. There's a little, you can see sort of suggested with the pen right here, sort of a little bump. Those are scapular feathers.
So, Jack, we have a question here about what is the difference between the median and the lesser coverts?
So the first row would be median coverts. The ones behind that would be, so the first row is greater than median, one row of greater, one row of median, and everything else is lesser. On birds where it's in nice, crisp, little clean rows, it's really easy to see. So for instance, on this tanager, here are the greater coverts. Here's one row of medians and everything up there is lesser. But on this bird, it's kind of jumbled up there and I can't really tell what's what. And so I'm just calling it the rest of the coverts. If you got in there and sort of, with tweezers and sort of figured out the insertion points of those, I bet you'd find sort of one of these would be kind of one row and then the rest would be anything else. But without doing a covert operation like that, I think it would be kind of really hard to see. um,
I have to be the audience here because you can't hear everyone else laughing. So I'm gonna
oh, good. I
play the role
appreciate it.
of the giggling audience at your
Cue the giggles.
at your terrible groaners and terrible awesome groaners.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So everything else here is primaries and the primary coverts. Primary coverts are this little wedge that sticks down here, right next to the on the photograph there. On that one has bigger primary coverts. So there's a little zone of primary coverts here. You can see these are primary coverts here on this bird. On this bird here, these are primary coverts. Actually, let's use this as a test, right? What are these ones? You said secondary feathers. How nice. Okay, so secondaries, then everything else is here is going to be coverts. So there's secondary feathers. There's this first big row of coverts. And then we've got this jumble of little feathers. So that first big row of coverts is the greater, and then this is the median and lesser, I'm sure, right? These little ones over here, those are my primary coverts. And then these ones are the primaries. All right, so let's give our primaries just one other color. Put this in with red. And those are primary. Now, I think it's useful to kind of break these things down. and be able to identify them. If you are drawing a little bird and you want to get all those details in, we will get into that. So for right now, though, what we're going to do is we're going to try to kind of understanding this sort of basic anatomy. We're going to take this anatomy. We're then going to look at kind of the quick sketching technique for getting the bird shape down, and then we'll put in all those details on top of it. So now that we've got some terms, let's look at some quick sketches of little bird friends. So, oh yeah, this is just this is kind of fun. So let's take a moment here, take a look at the bird body, and see if you can. Now, with this information in your head, what can you do with it? Do you see the gorget? Yes. Okay, we got there. Now, what about this? Can you see the scapular feathers? Can you see its little nugget of scapular feathers? What about the difference between the back and the rump? Ooh. What about the vent? See, all these little pieces, once you've got names for them, they kind of pop out to you more. Let's go for the lores and the postocular spot. Look around on the head. What else do you know? Look at that eyebrow. See, without that term going like, oh yeah, it's got an eyebrow, it'd be so easy just to make it crest, sort of crown feathers all the way across the top of the head. But if you've got this idea, no, they often have an eyebrow. Oh, then all of a sudden that detail pops out. That's why we spend some time kind of nerding out with those terms. Not because the terms are important, but the terms cue us in to look for a clue that we can put on our bird. Should we do the wing? Oh boy, let's give it a try. All right, start. Can you find the primaries and the secondaries? Now let's go up from the secondaries. Can you find the greater coverts? So the greater coverts often have color to them. Not always. And then above that is just a jumble of little feathers. Those are going to be my median and lesser coverts. Our primary coverts here, you see that sort of dark weirdness next to the secondaries? That's your primary covert zone in there. And you see it sticking out a little bit beyond that. Some birds have bigger primary coverts. This one doesn't. But all of this detail, if this feels overwhelming, here is a tip. Draw hummingbirds only on cold days. Right. So when they get chilly, they fluff their feathers up all over that business. And wow, you don't have to draw the wing. But also take a look at this one and notice what happened to the gorget. What happened to that gorgeous, gorgeous gorget? We'll go back to that other one for a second. So this is where we were before. And then there's this one. Same bird, right? This is the same species. It's just different light. This is a big deal. The gorget is not a pigment color. The gorget is a reflective surface. So depending on the angle of the sun to you, you will see the gorget in totally different ways. And they're sort of set up so that if the sun is behind you and I'm facing straight towards you, you're going to see my bright gorget. But if I turn over this way, you're not going to see that gorget. So what the males will often do, if they see a female that they want to display to, let's say I'm the male and you're where the female is, I'll position myself so that the sun is behind you. And then I'll come down and like, ooh, do my display right here in front of you. So the sun is going from you onto my gorget, reflecting right back to you. And like, ooh, look at my gorget, look at my gorget, look at my gorget. So I want to get that sun angle. So you go to a different sun angle and it's going to look totally different. And this is why field guides, field guides fudge things. Because check this out. I do this in my field guides too. But the field guides are trying to say, like, these are the colors on the different parts of the bird. But when you add in, these are the colors on the different parts of the bird, only seen from a specific direction, and everywhere else is going to be black, a lot of your hummingbird illustrations in field guides would be black. So um, what you'll see in many field guides is you'll have a side view drawing with the color in the gorget. That's not what we really see. So if you're making a field guide, we'll cut you some slack, right? You can get away with it. You can draw in those colors as you would see them with the fullest, brightest reflection. But be aware when you're out there in the field, a lot of places you're looking up at the hummingbird, it's the ruby-throated hummingbird, and you're not seeing any ruby throat. It's just solid black. I tend to, when I'm making a field guide illustration, I'll lie and show the color in the gorget. If I am doing field sketching and nature journaling, I try to document what I actually see. And so whatever, like, if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. So you're not doing it wrong if you do it the other way. But just sort of make a choice. Beware that that often isn't what you're seeing, and that's okay. So here, you little rascal. Um, so let's learn how to block in the shapes of these birds. This is the bird that is really familiar to me, sort of my kind of gold standard of hummingbird, because I live in Northern California. So we have Anna's hummingbirds all year around. Beautiful, beautiful red gorget. Sometimes you'll see hints of other colors in it. We'll get into drawing iridescence in a bit. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with how do we block in the basic shape. I'm first going to kind of walk through it with some still sketches. Then I'm going to do a live demo of this. My step one is I draw the shape around the back of the bird's head and the back of the bird's back. So I will lightly put down on my piece of paper, this is my line number 1. Here is the angle of the back of my bird. Then what I do is I block in a little circle for a head. Then what I do is I show which way the bird is looking. So which way, what is the angle, what is the direction of its beak? And this also helps me place its eye. So this little line here, oops, I got 2 lines in at once. Let's just talk about that one up there in the face. The eye sits right on top of this line that goes out the beak. So its eye is sighting down that beak. So if you continue that beak line into the head, the eye is going to sit on top of it. Then I look at the angles in front of its throat and its chest. I try to get to the point where kind of I'll block in the chest until I get to the point where it sort of makes an angle. So what is the first big kind of angle change on the chest of the bird? So I'll block those in, often with straight lines, and then block in a little ball for the bird's body. Here is a new thing that I'm adding to my approach to drawing birds. You don't need to do this if you've got a perfect side view, but if the bird is turned towards me even a little bit, my next big move, so this is new thing for all the people who've been sketching birds with me for a while. Now this is part of my basic routine. It's really helping. I put in the center lines. What is the center line? Let me kind of get rid of that and you'll sort of see this. So here's without it. Whoops. All right, so here's without it. Here's with it. Without it, with it. All right. So what I'm doing is, whoops, come back, is I am putting in sort of its bird zipper on the front of its bird jacket. If it's turned towards me a little bit, I'm going to see a little bit of its bird zipper. And then a line right down the middle of its throat and a line right down the middle of its head. So if its head is turned towards me a little, if it's side view, you don't see this. But if it's turned towards me a little bit, get in those lines and they really, really help you kind of draw things at 3/4 view angles. All right. Then just a couple of other lines that are really useful. I will put in my wing. First, was that the whoop?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the technical term.
That was the whoop. So get the whoop. And then, whoops. That's not what I expected to happen. And then I put in a little ball for the doodly doodly and a tail. So let's actually do this together. You might have been kind of following along. If not, this is your chance too. If I am sketching on my own, I often will do these with a very, very pale colored pencil. I like the Coal Erase non-photo blue pencil for blocking in some of these little sketches. And what I'll do is but yeah, see, I can see that line, but you can't because it doesn't pick up on the camera. So that's kind of a bummer. So I'm not going to use this really pale pencil that I normally use. I'm going to use one that's a little bit darker so that you can see it. But you want to have this be just something that is light enough for you to be able to see, but not any darker. Right? So I put in, here's the angle of my back. Here's a ball for my head. You notice I'm not drawing one line. Yeah, I'm getting my head. Nope. It's a sort of sketchy, loose. Then it's kind of looking up this way, looking up this way. See, I'm moving my hand first. Yeah, it's roughly like that. And then I go, okay, yeah, sort of like that. All right. And then its chest drops down and there's an angle change. So I get that first angle change. Middle of its head is up here, middle of its throat is coming down here, and then its zipper on its bird jacket is roughly in here.
Oh, Jack, just so you know, we're just giving a little time check. It is 10:55 right now in Pacific time. In about 5 minutes, we will be taking a wing stretching break.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you helping me kind of keep on track. And then kind of blocking the body. Your body's roughly in here. Your tail's sort of sticking down in here. And then your wing, what I do is I kind of I go like, where does that wing start? Is it in the middle? All right. No, it's a little bit closer to the back. Oh, no, it's about in the middle. All right. And then where does it go? It goes down here. All right. So it's going to whoop, get that whoop in. And then I will put in a little ball for the top of that. Notice this is all really light. If it's a different bird in a different position, it's going to be a different initial sketch. Right? So let's try this bird together. Right? Look at that little darling thing. So on this one, I'm going to press a little bit harder so that these lines will be easier to see. I think that that'll be kind of helpful for this demonstration. But again, I wouldn't be pressing this hard if I were doing this just for a drawing for myself. So your back of your head kind of swoops down, and then your back of your back, right? Kind of coming down like that. All right, sort of ba-dump, ba-dump. All right. I've got a ball of a head in here, and we're looking up. We're looking up this way. I like to kind of draw, air draw, and then put it in. Right? And what about our angle here? So we've got our neck is going to come down, a little bit of a scoop in, it's gonna poof out. And I don't need that center line put in a ball. That's put in a wing. It's going to start roughly in here. This is a place sometimes it kind of slow down a little bit. Like, where do I start? All right. Yeah, I'm going to start roughly in here. And we're going to come down. Sometimes you can also put in, where's that branch? This one was sitting on a branch like that. Where's that branch going to be? It's going to be a little bit lower. All right. So you see, this is light. It is loose. It is sketchy, right? So let's try it on this one. Look at how vertical that is. Oh, oh, really turned towards me, right?
Do you remember which one this is?
Is this a saber bill
I'll
or
look it up.
sword bill?
I'll look it up.
Sword or saber? So I'm going to start, little very vertical, and then I'm going to put in a ball for my head, and then I'm really looking up here, really looking up. Wow, that's ridiculous.
It is the sword-billed hummingbird.
Sword. Wow. Wow, what a crazy animal. And then, so for this little chest here, kind of little curve in, little curve out, ball. And this one's zipper is really turned towards me, but not so much on the head. The head is a little bit there. And then we're going to have tail sticking down, tail business about the same length as the body. Have a branch in here. There we go. So now I'm just going to give you a few more birds, and
I think actually it's time to stretch our wings
actually
in like
let's
30 seconds. You decide.
yeah, let's just do a few more kind of quick birds,
Got it.
and we're going to just kind of, and we just want to just get in some reps, right? So feel the bird, pet the bird, right? Imagine you're kind of petting the bird, feeling over that back, right? You pet the bird.
Can you say what kind this is, pretty please?
This is what is it? This is the black-tailed train bearer. So train like a train on a dress. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, it's the black-tailed train bearer. Oh, I love you, little birdie. All right. So kind of, what is the shape in the front? What's your shape in the front? And I'm going to give you a ball here. And your wing is kind of coming straight down like a dagger. And then your tail is going off my page. Oh, that's so cute. Ah. Sometimes I'll also kind of give myself a little ball where the foot is attaching to the branch. Now, go for this one, right? You're not going to be watching me draw it. I just want everybody to draw that. What we're going to do is you've got 30 seconds to draw this, to block in this basic shape. Start with the back shape. Sometimes it helps not to look at the bird. It helps to look at the shape of the green air behind the bird. And then you can see that contour just a little bit better. Artists talk about using negative shapes. As you're drawing that line in the front of the body, look at the shape of the air. Look at the shape of the air.
What was the name of that one that you just set up?
That was Bob. What were you?
Any word you have on it, I'm just trying to find it.
Um,
It's okay if you don't know.
I think that's one of the wood nymphs.
Okay.
I'm not sure. They do have cool names. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. This is a violet ear. There's that little patch on the ear actually can stick out into the sides. Kind of like it's holding little arms out. Sometimes if it turns its head towards you, it looks like it's got a little T of purple sticking out the side of its face. But again, let's just block in that shape. This time as I'm drawing the wing, it's starting way in the front. So I like to kind of pause and say, where does that wing start? Here, instead of a line down the middle of its chest, I put a line down the middle of its back. That line really helps you think of your drawing three-dimensionally. And this is the last one. Then we're going to take a wing stretch break. All right. So let's just get that.
Do you know the name of this bird or one of its names?
Remember, it's really fun for me to go into habitats that I don't know, spend quality time with birds that I don't know. Sometimes I won't even bring a field guide with me. And I'll try to just do everything from observation. In some cases, when I get the name for something, there's a weird kind of trigger that goes off in my head that says like, oh, you know this. And it sort of stands in for some kind of metaphysical understanding and connection. But if I don't get the name, then often it keeps me in this sort of place of wondering and looking more. Well, just by, doing a few of these little things, we can kind of start to get that sort of that shape of the hummingbird coming off of our pants. And look at how little their legs are. So they're part of a larger group of birds with swifts called the apodiformes, which translates to the ones without feet. Yeah, I like your little apodes. Oh, maybe this is the last one. Yeah.
Okay. Who's this?
Oh, this one is a booted racket tail. Check out that tail. Really? Really? Booted racket tail.
We have a quick question
Yeah.
from somebody who's blocking in currently. Um, when we draw the ball on top of the wing, is it for the secondaries or is it for the greater coverts?
It is, I'm putting in a sort of a package that is secondaries, greater coverts, median, lesser coverts, primary coverts, just all that business of stuff that is above the primaries. So for me, it's just sort of a placeholder for all that little scrabbly junk up there.
Thank you.
Right. And with that, maybe we take a little bird stretch sketch break, or kind of shake out our wings a little bit. Give people a little bit of a bathroom break here. And when we come back, what we're going to do is we're going to be putting some more details, some more careful drawings on top of these initial sketches that we get. Then we want to look at how we get some color.
If you are available, can you demonstrate those cool flapping you were doing before?
Aha. I am not just available, I am right here. Yeah. So here's what we do. So palms up, arms back. Right. And if you have your arms out here, it's going to be too hard. So a shorter lever is easier to move. So all the muscles, all the bones are brought in close to the body. These the lengths of these are also really shortened. So like this, palms up, and so you're bringing your arms back, pinching your shoulder blades together. Feel a good stretch there. Then turn them over as you come forward and down. And sort of feel that sort of stretch in your upper back. That's a good stretch. As you kind of get in here, you turn up and back. So down and in, up and back. So down and in, up and back. So you're doing this. So feel that stretch. Oh yeah, that's good. Right. It's nice because you kind of get this thing and you get this thing. That's I injured this shoulder some years back, and I think that this being a hummingbird would be good for kind of keeping flexibility. Right. And again, if you do it right, you can hover. Oh yeah, I got my feet off the ground. Right. Yeah, when you fold your wings up, bring your wrists in, elbows back, tuck them in.
And make that little sound.
And then kind of do a little body wiggle. That helps kind of get your breast feathers over your wrists so that, you don't have to draw lesser coverts. And it hides that part of your wing. This, again, is your chance to use the restroom. Just a moment. We're going to be drawing the details on the birds. We're going to be looking at the also kind of how can we play with, how do you handle iridescence?
All right, you want to hop back to it?
Let's go there. Hey everybody, welcome back. Say that really loud so the people who are in the bathroom will know that we're doing the one secret trick that will never be repeated. I don't have one.
I hear them running. I hear them running.
Awkward. Now, what I want to do is we're going to jump back here. Hey there, lovely booted racket tail. You are so cool. All right, so we want to fill in all those details. And so if we just have some of these little kind of light, quick sketches, we're sitting there thinking like, this is nice. This is nice, but we wanted more. So let's do that. All right. So I've got my little sketch here, and I'm going to come down and zoom on that. Whoop, just a little bit more. And so I want to show you how I would go about filling in these details. And so I am going to use just a graphite pencil here. And here is my little kind of eye line. And so I'm going to start with this beak. And we're going to kind of come out straight. And I'm going to bring the middle of part of the beak in from back behind it. So there's a little bit of a swoosh down in here. So we're going to come in here. I'm not going to actually bring that all the way out to the tip. Sort of kind of get that line continuing out there. There is a little hint of something in here. And so this part, right as this beak plugs into the face, there's a few kind of good little tricks right in here. One is I want to think of on this underside, remember this little center line? I want to think of the feathers kind of coming up on one side of that and then going back down on the other. The actual head of my bird can be out here, but the bottom of my chin is going to stick out and attach in there. Also on the top part, all right, there is where my beak is coming in. As I come back here on this line, I've got to have my lores. So I'm going to swoop up and back. And then I can place my eye in there. And the eye is going to have this shape. On the top, sort of a lower curve like that. And on the bottom, I'm going to have a bigger curve. So it's not even. And I'm also on the bottom part going to put in more of a shadowy area, giving a little bit of a glisten of light attaching on the top edge of that. So here is that. I'm going to, of course, that gets drawn in smaller. Give it a little bit of dark in those lores. I'm going to give it a little bit of a post-ocular love. I'm going to give it a little bit of an eyebrow. So my eyebrow is going to kind of come up and over. The gorget is going to come here behind my eye. Now it's going to roughly come down here and then over here. But notice the bottom part of this gorget has big feathers. Up in here, small feathers, hard to draw. Oh no, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So I'm just going to ignore all those little ones in here. And as I kind of come out here, I'm going to start to give my bird some bigger feathers. In the and I can give a hint that there's little feathers in here, but the more kind of fussy I get up in there, the harder it is going to be for me. So up in here, just sort of in the corner of the head here, I'm going to give myself a few feathers as that comes out. Maybe a few feathers here. There's a little patch of feathers that is sticking out in here. And then my gorget, my crown, is going to swoop up here. I'm going to suggest that if I draw in all of those feathers on it, I'm going to go crazy. But I can suggest that I'm just going to put in some of the lower edges of some of these. sort of a weird little poof on the side of this bird's head here. As I get down here, oh, I'm wanting these feathers to be bigger. And exactly how those they splay out like this, as the bird moves around, they're going to get kind of shuffled over each other in all sorts of weird ways. So if this doesn't exactly match my picture, I'm still in good shape. Now I've got feathers in here that are poofing over the front edge of my wing. So I will often, before I draw my wing, I'll draw those feathers that are kind of over the front edge of the wing. And then what is on the back part is going to be my scapulars. So a little kind of hint of some scapular feathers in here. And I have some small feathers that I'm seeing up in here. A lot of my coverts are hidden. But I see 1, 2, 3 coming down here, these grayish feathers. Leave room for a little white poof in here. Slightly larger, slightly larger. So 1, 2, 3. And then there's total of 6. So if I can't see them all, that's okay. I can just kind of suggest that. But if I am drawing in feather edges, I don't want to give it more than 6 little secondaries in there. I mean, yeah, secondaries. Here is a little bit of primary covert coming down there. And now, some of these feathers here are fluffing over the side. My back comes out, and then it's going to turn. There's an angle turn. It comes back in here. Getting that little angle, that's going to be nice. It's going to help my drawing. As we come down here, we're getting a whole bunch of upper tail coverts. Remember, I said there's often bigger upper tail coverts. So we're seeing some upper tail coverts. And my wing is going to tuck.
Jack, sorry to interrupt you, but your
Oh,
screen.
I've frozen.
Yep.
Oh, that is strange. Thank you for catching that. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go back there. Oh, now when I go to the duck, yeah, let's go here. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Just sort of messing around with it a little bit, brought it back. So my wings are going to come down here. Here's this. I want to show you kind of a fun trick for getting primary feathers to line up. There are 10 primary feathers, and sometimes it's hard to see the edges of them all. So, but if you can see them all, then count 10, but otherwise you don't need to worry about it. And what I do is I kind of bring, here's one edge of it, and then they're all going to the big part of it is going to be, there's going to be a little edge along this part here, and then a long swoop back in this direction. So the first one, I do the first one here, little edge and a swoop. The next one is going to cut down here, and it's going to swoop. And then the next one, and it's going to swoop. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, I'm just going to suggest that there's more kind of coming down here. Got a little bit of the other side of my wings in here. a lovely fluffy vent.
This particular photo looks kind of like a bird popsicle.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. The study skin that got away, right?
yeah.
Now the real bird looks a lot more kind of chunky. I wanna re-chunk my bird. So this line here, watch what I do on kind of on this line right up here. This is kind of another thing that I do a bunch, is I'll make a few little kind of flicks in like this. And that just sort of suggests a little bit of the fluffiness in there. So the mark it's a little bit darker towards the outside edge and then lighter as it trips up into the body there. Artist Bill Berry does this a lot to kind of give sort of the edge of something a little bit of fluff. So if I want something to be a kind of hard edge, I can have a line like this. If I want it to be just a little bit of floof to it, I give it these little Bill Berry marks and like that, and then it kind of fluffs it out very, very nicely. Proportion wise, I think this poor little bird wants a bigger gorget. Sometimes it's hard to see those things until kind of you're partway along in the picture. Let's take a look at a different bird and we'll put some marks on it. All right, so remember this one?
Folks would love to know the names if you know. I can look it up if you even have one word of the
That
name.
one, this one, I think is a forked-tailed wood nymph. Fork-tailed wood nymph. So, on my friend, the fork-tailed wood nymph, was that you? No, was that you? Oh, I didn't make a little fork-tailed wood nymph sketch. It's probably running my mouth off or something.
It looks like this is the violet-crowned wood nymph.
Oh, cool. I'll go for that. So if it gets a little bit of a back, a little bit of a head, body, it has a little twig that it sits on here.
Is it at all possible to make your drawing square larger? If not, it's okay. Just wondering. If it's going to take more than 10 seconds, forget it. But I'm just wondering.
Let me see what I can do. No, that actually would be
No problem.
be challenging.
No problem.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
And you got a little bit of tail that's sticking out here. All right, so that's kind of, and then you've got a little footy, and I got a little footy. Where's your zipper? Got a zipper in here, but your head doesn't get a zipper. Your belly gets a zipper. So the head can be sort of directionally different than your body. So if I were to do this one, this time I've got a little bit of a down curved, decurved bill. My feathers come way out on that chin.
Hey, Jack, is
Yeah.
it possible to use the focus on the dock cam a little bit so the drawing comes in clear? It might already be focused, but we thought we'd ask.
Is that better?
It's a bit better. Thank you.
Yeah, there's something weird kind of going on with, unfortunately,
That's much better.
that's better? Oh, good. All right. So rather than just have these be smooth lines around the head, I I look for kind of where there are inflection points, where there are angles, where things sort of change angle. I like to try to those. Here it has its whole tarsus and foot kind of laying out on these things. That's why you see these big kind of flumpy feet. Those are its whole, so the tarsus is on a bird, this whole part. So on this little bird, it's got that laying out there on the branch. So you're seeing that is, I like to kind of mold around it. Where's the point of the shoulder? And we are going to have, let's put our eye in. All right, so we're going to come up. And I'm going to have little curve on the top, bigger one on the bottom. I'm going to make that area in front of the eye dark. Give myself a little hint of the ear patch. And then what is the iridescence? The colors are going to be kind of coming down in here. They are going to be coming down in here. And this is a place where it's nice that I have that little zipper line, because notice that this comes to a little square thing across the zipper line. And then here, so I do this, and it's going to help turn the chest of the bird towards me. Have some light colored feathers in here. There's something. Now, here I'm having a hard time seeing what's happening in that wing. So what I'm going to do is just not draw that wing in detail. If I can't see it, then I just make it a big dark shape. If it looks like a big dark shape, I get a big dark shape. A little bit of pale undertail coverts here. And then we have our big tail. And we see there we go. So that bird, it's in, and there's, we've got this little fellow roughly blocked in. On parts of the bird, again, where it's dark, I don't have to draw detail. On parts where I can see some detail, I can put that in. We're going to be coming back here, returning to this drawing a little bit when we're kind of putting color on things. And then we'll also add a little bit more texture in here. All those little kind of scaly bits and have that sense of iridescence. So we're going to come back later and revisit that. For now, I just want to notice that there's a nice big shadow down in here. Here. Okay. I've got a bird shape. Let's take a look at another one, that violet ear. My violet ear is having an issue with my wood nymph. So they'll be together here. All right. So long decurved bill, right? And look at that negative shape on the throat. So it's going to come down fairly straight. It's going to bulge out a little bit and back. What about on the back of the head? There's going to be a slight little indentation here on the nape of the neck, and then down pretty straight.
Oh, Jack, could you bring your
Oh,
drawing up a bit, please?
yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
My wing. I'm going to do the wing before I do the tail, because if I do the wing first, it's going to block a bunch of the tail, and that will help me. So I have in here 1, 2, 3. So I do feather number 1 on the secondaries first, then number 2, and then number 3. And then 4, 5, 6 are going to come across this way. Above those, I've got a bunch of greater coverts. Above that, I've got a bunch of lesser coverts. And what I'm going to do is just, oh, and then I've got there's a little hint of a patch of scapulars in here. I like that. And I'm going to first get the general shape of the wing. So the primaries come in a little bit. Front edge curves. Going to come in and then over. So you kind of get a little bit of the outline of that wing. And then within that, I can start to draw. Or one way to do this is also just to think about, I'm going to draw these back angles here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is sticking out there a little bit. So I've got these back edges. If I want to, I can draw in all those front edges. Or sometimes if you just leave some of those out, that also looks really cool because there won't necessarily, it feels less diagrammatic. Then back here, our rump is coming down, and then we're getting into our green upper tail coverts and getting into the tail itself. I see a little bit of the wing on the other side. And I have a little bit of a flea. Because this thing is turned away from me, look at how much closer the eye appears to the front of the beak. Isn't that interesting? Let's just go back a second. I'm going to show you, I'm going to rewind the slides a little bit. And we're going to go look at a bird that is looking towards you. Wrong way. All right, so here's a side view. There's plenty of room there between the beak and the eye. And I go back even further. I mean, look on this one that is head turned towards you a little bit. I see lots of space there, but as that turns away from me, I am going to get less space between where my eye is. So my lures now are coming right in here, my eye. Something that's you can do on eyes is sometimes give it a little bit of a lower lid. Nice dark lures. And this one has big purple.
Jack, would you be able to bring this one up to
Okay.
the...
Sorry. What happens is I get so into to drawing it, so it really helps when you kind of help me bring it back on the screen. So thank you very much.
No problem. We know how hummingbirds like to hover in different places.
Oh, all right. So here's my little violet ear, and there's going to be a lot of dark shadow out here. A bit on the throat. Time check. Where are we on time right now?
You have... Oh, sorry, go ahead. You go ahead, Beth.
That's a great question. We were just discussing backstage when to speak with you about that. You have about 20 minutes left in the entire class.
Okay.
We could go slightly over with questions if needed, but I know you have a lot more content you want to share, so
Well, why don't I jump to, let's put some color on some of these.
cool.
And then we'll see if we can squeeze in a little flying bird at the end. Or let's see. So let's see. Actually, I might have the flying bird first in my slides. So we just okay. Yeah. Let's just sort of talk about flight for a second. So when birds are flapping their wings, hummingbirds flap their wings so fast you can't see their wings. But what you can often see is kind of a blurred out buzz zone. I wonder if that's pollen on its beak. I wonder if our little friend here, I think this is an Inca, is been probing its beak into something with a lot of pollen. So if birds are flying, I'll show you kind of some sketches that I have of flying birds. Let's see if this will work. Nope. Yeah, they'll have to come back here. All right. So here is a little quick sketch of a flying bird. And you notice what I've done is I have given it just a blur across the body in the direction of travel of that wing, up and back and down and forward, making a little bit of a point at the front and a little bit of point at the back, because as it comes back to you, you're going to get the shape of the outstretched wing on either side in that kind of fuzzed out blur zone that you see. We now have really amazing high-speed photography that allows us to capture bird wings frozen in flight. And so sometimes when we're drawing birds, we think that we're somehow supposed to be able to see that with our eyes, and that's what we should be drawing. If you're drawing from photographs, you have a choice. Do you want to draw a moment frozen in time, or do you want to draw the blur? Either choice is good. What you see out in the field, what I recommend you do for field sketches is draw the blur, because that's what we see. When we draw the wing in a frozen position, what you're doing is you're drawing how that wing would look if you had high-speed photography, right? And that's fine to draw. And but when we're kind of showing what we're actually seeing, we see the blur. So I would recommend the blur. So here's another little bird. It's got itself a blur. And but what you'll often see let's see, I think there's a few other blurs in flight. I don't see any other blurs. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll focus on the shape of the body. See, the bird is coming to the feeder and it's hovering there. And what I'll do is I will just draw that body, and then I can draw the blur across it later on when the bird has zooped away. So let's just do a quick little sketch of that, and we will see how that goes. And I want this. All right. So here is, now this one, notice it's in the tail down position. And this one's in the tail up position. And this one, because of the wonders of photography, we can see the tail fully up in that pose. And so if I were to, whoop, wrong way. All right. So let's see, I'm going to back up until for some reason my, oh no, we're going the wrong way again. Doodly 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 doo. All right, I'm going to, so just, here's how I would approach this. You see a bird hovering. What I would do is first draw the angle along its back. And then you can get what is the angle along its front. That blur is, they often have their little cute little bird feet sort of dipped out there. You can sometimes see their little toes as they're blurring along. Right? So that might be my pose in flight. And if this is a pencil sketch, what I'll often do is then give myself a little blur across the body with pencil. If I'm doing something with watercolor, I can make those sort of guiding pencil lines a little bit lighter. And then I will paint in the blur. And then the rest of the body, say this bird has a beautiful red gorget. I just don't get to see its color from this angle. Get rid of a little bit of the paint on my brush. And in this area here, I can put in a hint of color. I don't want very much color in there because I want the brighter color to be outside here. And that's a legit little hovering Hummer. But that, so on your worksheet here, you can do this on a sort of larger scale. So here's a bird with its wings up. As the bird is hovering, what you want to be doing is noticing what is the angle of the wings as they come up. What is the angle of the wings as they come down? How far out do you see that little blur? And then again, that's what you're going to be. I like to sort of first block it in as an area of blur. And if you get a little bit of, depending on the sort of the angle of the bird, you might get a little bit of color in it. Sometimes because as it's bringing its wing down and forward, you might actually see a little bit of color come into this part here. So imagine as that wing was forward, you would be seeing part of the feathers along, so the primaries would be dark. And then I put this in as a big kind of green mass, and you'll notice that it doesn't look iridescent. It looks like this bird has a big green mass. And you might be thinking, like, how do we get feathers to look iridescent? That is our goal for this next final part of our little workshop here. I want to show you a few tricks that are going to really help you get a feeling of iridescence in your feathers. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Right, so that was our flight. Tail down, tail up, frozen or blurred, you make the call. It's all good. Yeah. Yeah, this bird, so Beth, guess what color throat it has? There's no way to tell, right? This is a
No.
bright turquoise throat when seen from the front. Yeah, it's just crazy. But yeah, from a different angle, like, and no. So, iridescence. Um, mad points if you can identify this bird. Here's a hint. Same bird, same individual bird from a different angle. Actually, is that the same branch? Yeah, it's on the same branch, right? This turns around and gives you a different angle, and you've got all that going on. So let's notice a few things about what iridescence does. So iridescence, we're talking about bright colors here. And where it is not iridescence, where it's not being iridescent, we don't really see much of a blend into shadow. It's very much kind of an on-off sort of a thing. We also are seeing color in the iridescence, some color mixing. There's sort of an orange zone, and then there's a ruby throat zone. Right? Look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm so gorgeous. All right. And this is the view that the female gets.
Mm-hmm.
And like how you see that, you're thinking like va va voom, this bird's got it all going. So your sunlight angles are perfect on the throat there, but not so much on the lower chest. So that chest is starting to turn dark. Is that because of pigment? Oh no. Oh no, that's just sun angle. So here, the sun angle has changed. Now the lower chest is bright. The upper part is turning dark. Like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And that little belly, right? That belly purpley blue, um, So as the birds turn around and come to different angles, you are getting all of these different things. So now, less dramatic on the throat there. That's because we've just changed our angle. And look at the forehead. Oh my. Whoops, not you. Look at your forehead. Look at my forehead. Still kind of got something going on. And no, right? That's so cool. And that is all sunlight angle. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a color map and put it on our bird. So this is the black-tailed train bearer. And this is the one where we have the, I did that, a drawing of this on the worksheet. And so that you don't have to draw it and kind of worry about messing up your drawing, what we're going to do is we're just going to try some kind of coloring experiments right on that worksheet. So let's go to this, right? If I'm looking at the colors on the bird, notice that some places I'm getting bright reflectance, other places not. Some places I'm seeing the scaling strongly, other places not. That's what I want to map in to get my bird to look iridescent. I'm going to get two big effects. One is I'm seeing some places there's a yellow green, other places a brighter tree green, and other places sort of a dark, kind of almost turning into dark purpley. I want to get those color shifts, and I also want to notice that I have these very sharp, crisp darks in there among these lights. Getting those things together will give me a sense of iridescence. The colors these are all colors that I can capture with my paint set. What's going to make them look iridescent is how I put these together, sort of blending these kind of base colors together, and then how I overlay those with some crisps, some crisp darks. And one last piece of kind of making things look iridescent is actually let's try this now. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to do this drawing in two phases. The first is I'm going to put in some base colors, dry those, and then I'm going to come along with some colored pencils and put in a few details of darks and lights, right? But if I do the whole drawing with colored pencil, you know how a colored pencil leaves all these little white spaces behind? I want to kind of, for a more saturated color effect, I'm going to use first a base coat of watercolor, and then I'm going to come over that with a with the colored pencil. But the colored pencil has to be on a dry surface. So you'll see me dry this kind of in between. Where is my bright? Where is my bright? I'm seeing that in this zone here, right, on the shoulder, there's a little bit of bright in there. I've got bright in here. I've got a bright zone up here in the head. This bird is at a holding. This one is looking towards me. That one over there is kind of looking different angle. So this is a slightly different angle.
Oh, Jeff, before you continue, just wanted to give you a quick time check. It is 11:56 our time, meaning about 5 minutes, sorry, 4 minutes till noon. And we know that we're going to have a bit of extra time to do this, but just letting you know the time because.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, folks. One thing I'm not very good at is time management, but so let me kind of quickly drop some color in here. What you do notice though is I'm mapping where I'm seeing different colors. Now, let me start with, so I'm going to bring over a set of watercolors. Oh, and that little sunbird is saying, what about me? What about me? You promised at the start you'd play with a sunbird. So I am getting some green on my palette. I'm getting some bright green. And I am going to put that into the scapulars. I'm going to put that where I see.
Sorry to interrupt you again, Jack. Could you scoot your
Oh,
page over?
oh no, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right, I'm going to put some bright green in here and across here. And I don't want those to be hard edges, so I'm going to get a little bit of water and soften some of those edges. If I do that right after I put that paint down, I can blur some edges. Now, I'm going to bring some duller green into here. And I am going to bring some, that color on the back is almost sort of a dark purpley. And this is what it's scary. It's easy for us to kind of put these greens on our birds. What gets scary is then going from the nape of the neck here, all down that back. I have some dark. And now I'm going to come along and make it a little bit softer edge. And still, mine is looking pretty anemic. I want to get that darker. So I'm going to get mixing up some darker sort of purpley dark paint here. And oh, that's so scary to do. Oh, it's so scary. Arg, arg, arg. But I am going to see if I can. That softer edge. And this bird has some darker purple on its chest. You can see undertail coverts here have a little bit of peach on them. I'm going to get a little bit of, this is some yellow green. Bring that into and I'm going to put some dark on your wings. Oh, I caught myself that time. Aren't you proud of me?
Always.
High five.
And there's this, I look at this angle like, yeah, it's got some colors blotched in different places, but it looks more calico than iridescent. Right. So I have some bright. Do I want any of that on there? Maybe a little bit. as I put down colors, I try to then kind of just wet the edge of it and smooth it in. But still, my little friend here does not look iridescent. So what I'm hoping now is I'm going to dry this, and I'm going to try another step and see if I can then kind of bring out a little bit of an iridescent look. To dry it, I have a hairdryer underneath my as I look through the notebook of sketches that I took in Ecuador, you know, some of them have kind of a feeling of, these are kind of quicker sketches, but kind of there's a feeling of iridescence that some of these little beasties have. And on the ones that are more successful, what it is actually the contrast of the dark and the light that gives you that sense of iridescence. So don't be afraid to go really dark on part of your drawing. To make it a little bit easier for me to kind of ease into kind of playing with the dark, I'm just going to put in some places that have really, really dark values. For instance, I'm going to get in there in the lures. And the beak. And that lovely gorget. That gorget on this bird is brilliant emerald green. From this angle, I see it as black. And so here's the thing that I'm always surprised. I've got this bird, it's not looking iridescent. And then when I give myself permission to really go for it with the darks, that iridescence is going to start to emerge through. Let's see how, oh, that's not the color I want.
Jack, just to let you know, we're 5 minutes over time at this point.
Oh,
I know. I hear your little heart breaking, and
yeah.
our hearts are breaking, but many people are sending you lots of love in the chat. And if you want to spend a minute or two finishing up this bird, I'm sure folks would love it, but then we should wrap it up. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you so much. And I really appreciate everybody helping keep me on time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in, now I've got a black colored pencil here. As I start to kind of come along and do this, and really giving myself permission to press down hard on that, it often starts to get much more of an iridescence look to it. So let me come here on its forehead. There are these rows of dark.
I'm noticing what you said about putting in the dark and how that makes the rest of the color pop. And it reminds me of what you've said about sunsets also, where when you make it dark, that's what makes the rest of it come alive. So it's kind of a similar
Yeah, those
color
ones
note.
start to feel bright to you because other things next to them are dark.
Mm-hmm.
And here on the back of this head, well, let me come down here into some of this. Here I'm switching to an indigo blue pencil. Also add some dark in with that. Um, brush, going a little bit darker. As I go into the chest here, I'm actually going to reach for a little bit more gray watercolor and mute that down a little bit. As the sort of non-green parts become darker, the things that are green begin to feel brighter in contrast. Let me grab that dryer again. Even bolder. Yes. There you go. So with a few little parts are sparkling through. And then one of the final things I've got a green colored pencil here. This is a Prismacolor pencil, so it's fairly soft. And I can put in a few little highlights with it. to grab another very pale Prismacolor pencil and put a few specks of light into dark. And so when you start to get the dark against that light, you begin to kind of get more of that feeling of the that iridescence.
I'm so sorry. I think I'm going to invite you to put down your pencil.
I think that's probably
I know, I'm sorry. Folks are sending you so much love in the chat. People have really, really enjoyed the class, and I'm sure many of them would love to stay on for another hour. And if I didn't tell you that time is up, I'm sure you would stay for another hour. But we do have to wrap up our class now.
yeah. And I want to again send my my deepest gratitude to the whole team in the back there who have helped me kind of not to stay on as much as possible on track, as well as manage the logistics of work in the class. Thank you folks very, very much. For everybody who's watching, oops, I want now it's odd. There's something strange going on with my my ability to control my screens. No, I don't want to go here. Oh, I am. There's me. I was looking at the wrong thing. So I got, thank you folks very much. I am really glad that everybody came and joined us today. I want to encourage you to get out and spend some time playing with iridescence. Get those darks right up against those shimmery colors, and things will start to be fun. I want to send deep regrets to all the sunbirds of the world who didn't get a chance to kind of come on and play with us today. But we love you. We recognize your place in the ecosystem, and we hope that people who have access to sunbirds can get out and have some fun with sunbirds today. And on behalf of the Wild Wonder Foundation, thank you for what you do to connect others with the natural world, to yourself, get out on a regular basis and share your enthusiasm, your love of the natural world with each other. That really motivates other people to kind of get out and try it. For yourself, getting out and spending time with wonders of nature is it really gives us a lot of strength right now. And we in times that are divided, nature is something that we can all come together on. This is the place where we can really find common ground in wonder and beauty. And let's start with that as a bridge to connecting in loving ways with each other in this natural world. Thank you so much for being here. And until we see you again, have fun out there, stay curious, be kind.
Thank you so much again, Jack, for your beautiful class. Your enthusiasm and humor is so contagious, and we got so many wonderful comments in the chat, just people having a great time, people learning so much, people so grateful to you, people feeling like 2 hours went by so fast, and maybe your class should be 3 hours, maybe it should be 4 hours. So anyway, wonderful, wonderful class. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and tips and tricks you've gathered over your 4 decades of teaching. I just feel so grateful to you for sharing that with us. We just want to remind folks we'll be sending you an email with the recording of this class in about 10 days, and that email will also send you a survey. We're eager to hear your feedback on today's class and your ideas for future classes. And also, if you have drawings from today that you want to share, we'd love to see them on socials, or you can also email them to us, hashtag Wild Wonder Foundation or at Wild Wonder Foundation. And if you'd like to make a donation towards today's class, if you enjoyed it and you want to support our microgrant program, we'd love to receive that. You can do that on our website at wildwonder.org/donate. There's a button right from the homepage. Thank you again, Jack, so much for your spending your time with us today. And thank you everyone for joining us. And we hope to see you again soon, and go out and enjoy this beautiful natural world.
Thank you.
Bye, friends.